There we go. I think we're going live. We are going live Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Coffee and crypto. And look at this. Look at where the charts are. Everything's crazy. Everything's looking bullish. Bitcoin is currently sitting at $49,000 right now. I don't know why my numbers aren't coming up for the total market cap, but we are looking at $2 trillion. $2 trillion, not bad for the total market cap right now. Saturday morning, everything's looking in the green for now. We will see where we're going, but there are a lot of analysts saying that we could be seeing a 50K Bitcoin over the weekend. So we will see exactly what's going to happen. Hopefully stream health is looking good. I'm getting green lights all the way across, which is very good. So yeah, Bitcoin is currently sitting at 49,000. Ethereum sitting at 32.62. Pretty good price. Cardano is sitting at roughly $2.43, $2.42. Still at that all-time high on Cardano that we discussed. So we're doing very, very well for Cardano. The whole week has been really good, in fact, for like all of crypto. So it's been a hell of a week, that's for sure. Everything's kind of skyrocketed. Yeah, everything's looking really good. Now, again, I'm tentative. I'm tentative to say that we're super bullish until we hit that 52,000 Bitcoin mark. But we're getting there. We're really moving to a fast pace with Bitcoin, especially when you see these weekly candles. It's looking pretty bullish. We're on a pretty bullish trend. Obviously, our dailies, we've had a bit of a drop down over the last couple of days, and then Friday and Thursday, Friday, basically shot us up into the green and back up. So we're fighting again with those levels. How's it going, Kyle? How's it going, Josh? Good morning, guys. Good morning. So we are looking pretty good for where Bitcoin is. We have a couple of pieces of news to run through for today. We'll go over some charts, probably talk about VeChain a little bit, Cardano, all the usual suspects with us, right? How's it going, Vapor? Morning. So first and foremost, we'll go through this article on AMB Crypto, why Bitcoin's breakout towards 50K is all but confirmed. And I think we're at this point. We fought through a lot of bearish trends with Bitcoin. We worked through all of that crap that we had to go through. And now finally we're kind of moving ahead into the more bullish standing of things. So Bitcoin was trading near under 49,000 on the charts. This marked that the market would need a relief, especially since Bitcoin's foray beyond 48K. So perfect plot from the uptrend. Let's take a look at what they're showing us from Glassnode. So this is the net transfer volume from or to exchanges. So essentially what is staying and what's coming onto exchanges. And you can see that obviously that's going down dramatically. So we could be seeing a good amount of value exiting exchanges, moving into cold wallets, which is going to increase the price. And we've talked about a lot of this signaling. How's it going, Gary? So there's been a lot of this in terms of like where Bitcoin's going to go in terms of it leaving exchanges and pumping up in prices. This was kind of expected, especially with Bitcoin. Now it's sitting at this level at a new high. Well, coming up to a new high, not quite new all-time high, but new high for this range, obviously. Because we broke past that 47 that you guys saw in the last, I think 2 videos ago we talked about. It was struggling with some resistance there. How do I feel about PokeSwap? So I feel fine with PokeSwap right now. I didn't buy UMI, but if you look at PokeSwap, they implemented a lot of the stuff that was in the testnet. So they now have dark mode. They now have USD values or fiat values on their assets and everything else. So they're working to improve. But again, it's a work in progress with something like PokeSwap. It's they started out on a soft launch, so it's going to take some time to fully fledge out the system. I'll look into UMI though, because I'm not quite sure exactly what that token is. We'll take a look right now. But hopefully everyone's Saturday is going good, because I woke up to these prices and it looked pretty juicy to me. Where's a good place to store ADA? I'm a firm believer that you should just store it on Daedalus, Gary. So the Daedalus wallet is made by the team that developed Cardano. Charles Hoskinson is a part of that. So there's Daedalus and Euro, and you can join the stake pools within Daedalus and Euro and get a high enough interest, at least between 4 to 5%, give or take. There's a couple of stake pools to join. It's fairly easy. It sounds intimidating. You download the wallet, you wait for it to sync, which could take upwards to a day because it's downloading all the data from the blockchain. And then you go allocate to a stake pool and just throw it in there. 8x might be a rug pull. Let's take a look. I mean, there's a lot of rug pulls, so you got to be careful, right? It's hard to say, especially when you're getting into the low caps. So rank 647. It's going to be a lot of rug pulls. I don't know, like I can't tell you for sure what's going to be a rug pull and what's not. A lot of that too depends on like what's in the code. Is the team, for example, is the team anonymous? Here the team isn't anonymous, so I would suspect that no, because they would be in hot waters with regulators. But I mean, like that's just sometimes that's never stopped somebody before for running off with a bunch of money. We saw the CEO from Mt. Gox way back in the day basically take off with everyone's money. So it's really hard to say at face value. I don't know the project. I'd just be careful. But yeah, this isn't the right project. Okay. Oh, I think you're talking about UMI. Isn't the right project. If you give me the ticker for UMI, and then we'll take a look at that. If pop up the ticker. So BTC is forming another high. So again, we're upwards to this high now. We broke above that 47,000 mark that we did discuss in our last video. We've kind of made a move past that. Will we continue to move? I do think at this point, like the last piece of resistance to really hit for us is that 52,000 mark. If you see, we're above our 200-day moving average on the daily. So we did kind of like sink below that, but more like bounced above it. So we might still fight with the 200-day. It's been pretty common that we fight with the 200-day for a couple of days before like falling through or falling above. So you can see here that we fought with it and then here fought before falling down. So I think at this point we most likely are going to be good. We're most likely going to continue rising up. But again, tentatively, we're not at that point. So I always use ADA on Binance. Where is everyone buying? So that's interesting. I think one of the ways to buy Cardano in Canada, probably one of the cheapest for onboarding too, is Newton. So Newton has their onboarding. You e-transfer to Newton. You can buy things like Cardano, I think Mana and a couple of other tokens. They really boosted up their token supply in the last little bit. So I'd probably say Newton is your best place for Cardano. And then that being said, I use Kraken for like everything else. So if you're looking for a service like Binance and you're missing out, I'd probably go with Kraken because it's going to have basically whatever you want. And they're trying to be like they're a bank in the United States, right? They have a banking license in Wyoming, I think. So I think you're generally safe going with someone like Kraken. Yeah. Newton is the easiest for onboarding. Definitely. So I'd say Newton for sure. It's the cheapest too. It only costs you the spread. You have no deposit fee or anything else. There's a promo code down below if you want to use that to get $25. But you can buy Cardano and everything. I usually buy like I onboard a lot of my cryptos on Newton and then move it to other exchanges. That's typically how I enter the crypto market from fiat. But I'm also looking for other ways to enter the crypto market too. I also use ShakePay, so it's not just one service. I use a variety of different services, but I think Newton's probably your easiest barrier of entry to get Cardano. Yeah. Now, here's one thing that I wanted to discuss because we discussed this in a video a couple of weeks back. Chinese market had like a very, very bad sell-off, roughly 10%. Here we're down $560 billion. on the Chinese stock market. Now, I mean, like, everything's really volatile right now in terms of global economics, what's happening in China, what's happening in the United States. There's no country really immune from what's happening in the global financial system right now. And this is evident. But where is this money going, right? So this article says 560 billion leaves the Chinese stock market, 90 billion is added to the crypto market. I think here correlation equals causation, because like it just makes sense where all that money's going. I think a lot of people, a lot of investors, Chinese investors specifically, are entering the crypto market for a safer asset. We do see that with a number of different people too, with different organizations, institutions coming into cryptocurrency, Cardano, Ethereum, mainly because of the store of value aspect and beating inflation in a lot of areas. Because inflation is happening, stock markets are overinflated, not just in the United States, but in other countries. So, do I believe in the ghost month? I don't know what the ghost month is. So, but I think at this point, at this point, it kind of makes sense that people are gravitating outside of equities to move into harder assets that are going to stand the test of time. I think, now, listen, I could be wrong, because like preaching that there's going to be a stock market crash and a retracement is basically saying that I'm always going to be wrong. That being said, I do think it's coming. I do think it has to come. I think it's inevitable. Chinese Halloween, I had no idea. I had no idea like what Chinese Halloween is. Ghost month, is that going to be something with the markets, like affect the markets? Month, interesting. I never heard of ghost month before. You know what's interesting? Oh god, I just want to show you guys this. This has nothing to do with crypto, but this is the most 2021 thing ever. Okay. Like, we're not gonna watch it all, but like, this is the most 2021 thing I've ever seen in my life. Is a woman here doing a workout video during a military coup in Myanmar. This is insane. This is the most 2021 thing I've ever seen in my goddamn. Look at this. She's just working out. She's just dancing, working out. Meanwhile, they're losing democracy. This is crazy. I didn't know that this existed. This was back in February. I had no idea that this video actually was real. I don't know why I just thought about that. Yeah, but ghost month. Yeah, so what is it? Lose weight and democracy in 20 minutes a day. So yeah, sorry for taking us off course there. I don't know why. I just thought that was funny. Ghost Festival. So the Ghost Festival is also known as the. Yeah, I mean, hey, ghosts, Yeah, I don't know much about that. I'm gonna be honest. Don't know much about other holidays other than in little old Canada. So I think it's obvious that investors are kind of moving from stock markets to other assets right now. I mean, there are some stocks that are going to be doing good, but at this point, people are being very selective in what exactly they're investing in. Now, I'm not an equities guy. I have some stocks, very, very little. I'd probably say stocks represent maybe 5% of my portfolio in total. And then like 90% is usually crypto at this point. Missouri mayor plans to give $1,000 to every inhabitant with one condition. That condition is that they hodl for 5 years. That's a pretty good condition. If you look, because I pulled up this article as well, $1,200 stimulus check would now be worth $8,700 if you used it to buy Bitcoin. And a lot of people did use it to buy Bitcoin. That's from there. This is now, right? So I'm pretty bullish on Sol. I don't have a lot of Sol, but I think it's an excellent blockchain, what they're doing. So, It's when it goes down usually in September is traditionally a bad financial month. It's usually a bad month. So, I mean, that could be the reason why we're getting this big sell-off, but $560 billion is a lot. I don't know what the total the total market cap, I always say crypto. I don't know what the total market cap is of the Chinese stock market. Chinese stock market. Market cap. But I mean, it's nowhere near what the United States is. I think the United States is at 110 trillion. I don't know exactly where the Chinese stock market would be. And I can't find a quick, readily available number, unfortunately. But either way, I know that 590 billion is nothing to sneeze at. So, it is what it is. But really, 90 billion is kind of something to sneeze at, especially in crypto terms, right? Especially in markets. So it's not a huge amount. It's not like dramatically changing prices. We're not going to the moon just yet, but and it could be some sort of sell-off because of vacations or holidays or whatever. So, but I do know like this is huge for adoption for Bitcoin. Back to the Missouri mayor giving people $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. At this point, it'd be huge to get people interested in it, to have people understand where it's going, have people understand the value of holding Bitcoin long term. I would argue that anyone that's held Bitcoin for 5 years has not regretted it in the least. Actually, consistently within 5 years, every 5 years, people would say like, oh, hey, you buy Bitcoin at almost 20K, you're a loser. Well, I mean, we're not even 5 years past this, and here we go. Like, you're already up on your investment. Now, I agree, not as much as you would be if you bought Bitcoin down at 3K or down at 4K here, but still. That's a huge increase, right? So at the top here, that's a 3x increase from 20K. So holding for 5 years has always proven to do well. So nothing against holders. I hate people that say like, oh, why do you have this hodl mentality? I mean, that's why I have the hodl mentality, because hodlers win all the time, way over anyone that trades or swing trades or anything else. So if you hold for the long term, typically it's going to be good. But a lot of people, I do know a lot of people did enter the market with their stimulus checks coming into the market over the course of the United States sending out stimulus, and other countries as well. It wasn't just the United States. So there was a lot of money entering cryptocurrency. So yeah, that's a huge number. $1,200 went to $8,700. That's a big number for a lot of people that were basically just living on that $1,200. So good for anyone like that. And the peanut gallery comes in and says, Peter Schiff says that those not selling Bitcoin now are the real idiots. So going back to what we said. And this comes out of an article that was written because Peter Schiff said something along the lines of he regrets not buying Bitcoin at its low. And then he tweets out, says, big deal. I'd be an idiot to regret not buying Bitcoin. Makes sense. But the real idiots are the ones not selling now. I disagree. 49,200 is not the time to sell Bitcoin. We're not at the market peak. I don't think Peter Schiff really understands how the crypto market works. I mean, you're a bear until you're not a bear, until you actually look into it. And Michael Saylor was the same thing. If you look at Michael Saylor, he hated Bitcoin. He hated Bitcoin for the longest time, and then eventually, went through. So. Yeah, I mean, anyone can print money. Anyone can print fiat currency. That's right. Sweden's government forced to pay a jailed drug dealer $1.5 million in Bitcoin. I just find this hilarious. Adoption is here, boys. Adoption is here. This is it. Yeah, Peter Schiff is a huge gold bug, but that's also why I don't understand why Peter Schiff doesn't like Bitcoin. Because in every aspect, Bitcoin is digital gold, right? Gold is the analog to Bitcoin. It just makes sense, even more so because after 2100 we can't mine any more Bitcoin, but we can still extract gold from the earth. Eventually we can extract gold from, say, the moon or asteroids and everything else. And I'm not talking about like super long term here. I'm talking about before Bitcoin mining runs out, like before 2100. We will most certainly be mining assets off asteroids. Think of how much you can go out there and get, like, whatever metal you want, gold, platinum, so there's a wealth of minerals very close by, very easily accessible to companies that want to extract that. So within the next 100 years, we'll definitely see something like that. But Bitcoin is harder. It's a harder asset than gold, believe it or not. So, but I understand the gold bugs. I mean, gold is always going to have intrinsic value, same as silver. They're always going to have intrinsic value. And I think it's still a little too early for some people to say that Bitcoin's always going to have intrinsic value. But I do believe that in a lot of ways, Bitcoin is just the man-made version of gold and ends up being a harder asset because of the mathematics and the structure. So we talked about this earlier in the week about Ethereum, how Microsoft is going to be using Ethereum to combat any sort of piracy. So they're going through as well, kind of working through, making sure that they have this set up with like Xbox brands and everything else. So it's interesting to see where they're taking the tech. I don't know exactly where this is going to go. Is it going to, say, I don't know, kill privacy in some way? So it could be an interesting thing. It works on sort of like a proof of leakage mechanism. So I'm not sure exactly how all this works. We discussed this before with that big diagram that was super confusing. But it's good at least to see the use case here for Ethereum. I haven't bought anything in months, sitting on cash. I mean, I think that's a good idea. I think at this point, with Bitcoin, down here was the time to buy, right? Arguably, I mean, like, if you've been buying down here, which is primarily what I was doing, is buying down in these ranges, well, more like these ranges here, because I didn't get in until 2020, or end of 2019, 2020. But, there's nothing wrong with holding on to cash and just keeping cash on the sidelines for anything significant drops or anything else, especially if you have a healthy position. There's nothing wrong with not adding to that position. And there's also nothing wrong with taking profits when you should be taking profits. So, again, I talk about holding a lot. I talk about why it's important to hold, but it's also important to take profits as well. So you do at some point need to take some profits. Cardano sitting at $2.44. We discussed Cardano a lot through the week, going back to its all-time high, reaching back up to these levels. And I did say in a video roughly around this range when we were at $1.38, $1.40, Cardano is going to, in short order, get back to its all-time high. Now where it's going to go, I'm not quite sure. It's going to probably hold some stability here and then go into price discovery. My bet is somewhere in the 315 range. I have that marked from the last video that we discussed that. So that's where I'm thinking that we're going to go in terms of Cardano in the near term. Obviously, Cardano by this market cycle, I still believe in an $8 ADA. I don't think that's far outside of the realm of possibilities. But we do see a trader here, Michael Van de Pope, who agrees and gives the same sentiment. I haven't watched exactly what he says in his video, but at least there's a lot of other people calling for an increase in Cardano and moving up. He's saying his price range, so went from the $2 to $2.50 range. If it holds, assuming $3.45 and $5 are next up for Cardano. So a little bit more bullish than I am on the near-term price, of course, but I still think that's within the realm of possibility between that $5 range and the 330. Again, I'm still saying 315 is probably more realistic. Now we're not going to see huge run-ups like this. Typically with Cardano, what happens is we get a run-up, then we trade sideways for a while, build up some support, then make another move up, trade sideways, right? You get the gist. But I don't think we're going to do as dramatic as a run-up as, say, this that we did. I think we're going to increase a little bit, get up to here, and then just trade sideways. I think that's most likely what's going to happen. We're going to see that over time. And then obviously when the crypto market goes for something like a blow off top, that's a little bit of a different story. And a lot of people are saying that that's going to happen by September, by the end of September. Some are saying that by the end of 2021. I'm saying sometime in 2022. That's beautiful. At this point, just what I would do, especially when you're just sitting on a bunch of cash, I would look into potentially putting that cash into assets like gold, and you can earn on gold. So what I do, and AUX, right, is the ticker. So what I do is I take gold, I buy Pax Gold, and I put it either on Celsius or BlockFi and earn an interest rating on Celsius or BlockFi. Gold is doing very well. Gold is heading for a bull market. Gold in economic downturns has always done well. So if we look back, let's see if I can see back in 2008. You see 2007, kind of the run up of like really bad times, and you see how it just kind of shot up, right? That 2008 really shot that price up for gold. So gold is going to go through similar run ups now, especially now. So I'd expect a gold run up, but yeah, this is where I put a lot of my profits. I don't sit any in fiat, basically. I mean, I have some in fiat to provide liquidity on some dexes, but this is prominently where I sit any profits. People seem to think that we're entering a bear market past cycles, but isn't the chance of a super cycle? We've seen adoption. Yeah, so I think, okay, so here's the thing about market cycles is everyone's looking at this, and I'm going to pull up stock to flow as well, so bear with me here. Everyone's looking at this as a 4-year market cycle, and you know, I can't say there's a non-negligible chance that that's the reality, that we're going through stock to flow. We're going to hit a market peak in September, and then we're going to crash, just like every other market cycle that we've done. The reason why I don't think that that's actually what's going to happen is because if you look at the market cycles, now we measured these before. Let me pull up a date and time. We measured these before, and from bottom to peak, you can see, okay, this one was 45 days. This is the inception of Bitcoin, right? And bottom to peak here, we'll go the double peak, the whole thing. So that's 109 days. And bottom to peak, we're looking at 159 days, 53 days, and then bottom to our supposed peak, right? Or if we're going in September, our supposed peak, right? Now, what I think is going to happen is we're most likely going to go into 2022 and have some sort of blow off top sometime by the end of the year in 2022, sometime in the winter. So, and the reason why I say this is because, and especially if you look at the percentages here, our first percentage gain was 74,000% of an increase from the bottom to the top. Then we had a 300,000 increase from the bottom to the top. Then we had a 12,200 increase from the bottom to the top. And then again, from the bottom to our supposed top, where we might go, according to me, according to my estimates, is more of a 6,500% increase, but a much longer range of time. And I think over time, we're going to see this. And you can kind of see progressively, the market cycles are getting longer and longer and longer, and over time, less and less of a return. So this is most likely what we're going to see. Now, the reason why stock to flow is so popular is because of the halvening. So Bitcoin every couple of years, every 4 years, goes through a halvening. So it reduces the mining rewards by 50%. And on it goes until finally there's no more Bitcoin mined after 2100. So that poses the question, what happens to stock to flow after 2100? And I don't think stock to flow is adequately going to dictate the market, because the market doesn't matter on mathematics or logic in any way. The market is all based on human emotion, whether you like it or not. No matter how math sciencey you can get with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, this is all based on human emotion. Same with the stock market, same with any other market in human history. It's all based on how we feel. So no worries, Gary. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend, man. Take it easy. So I think the reality is that, yes, we could see a super cycle. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call it a super cycle. I think a super cycle is a different term for a lot of people. I think a super cycle, what people determine as a super cycle, is a way higher Bitcoin than we could ever imagine and a much longer market cycle. Whereas I'm more saying that we'll probably have a longer market cycle, just less of an increase than past market cycles. It's most likely what we're looking at here. It's not a bad thing, of course, right? But it's that's it. To me, it just makes logical sense that over time, this is what's going to happen, and over the asset kind of maturing. Am I into NFTs? I own some Mana, like the Mana token. But I have not like entered the NFT market. I'm just like new to the NFT market, so I don't know what to invest in. I think it's a lot of speculation. That being said, I think NFT tech is amazing. I think it's going to do amazing things, especially into like the royalty fields and everything else. I think it's a great way to connect both artists and the market together, and not only just artists but also tokenizing assets as well. So NFTs are groundbreaking technology. I think there's still a lot of garbage, as much as like there is garbage in the cryptocurrency market. Like if you look at some cryptocurrencies objectively, there's a lot of trash. So you just got to be careful, as with any market. Okay, so that's interesting. I like that UMI is a PokeSwap NFT play, because I haven't entered anything like that. I don't know why my pipes are squealing here. I'll have to find it exactly, because every time I search UMI, I'm not finding the correct one. Oh, I think I have it. UMI token launch. I don't know if this is the actual website. Yeah, it looks like it. Not a very flashy website, but that's not always the most important thing here. I'd like to. Okay, here we go. So where are we at? We're in basically quarter 2, quarter 3, right? Quarter 2. So yeah, they're just minting the token and art collection on the blockchain. Interesting. I wonder if this is actually going to be, like if you can sell NFTs on PokeSwap. Interesting. So they're launching on PokeSwap, obviously, but cool. I'll look more into this, because I have no idea about any of this. So I'll at least look into UMI. I think this is going to be the right one. But I'll figure out how this is going to go. Gotta. All right, there we go. All right. Interesting stuff. So I'll take a look. Well, the website wasn't loaded. That's why. But I'll take a look more and see like what it is. Maybe it's video worthy. So yeah, I was scared for a minute when I was scrolling down. I like the dictators though. I was scared for a minute when I was rolling down, seeing the anime girls. I'm like, is this gonna show something that I shouldn't be showing on YouTube here? But everything's good. Little waifu never hurt anybody. That's what I always say. So. But it is insane seeing where the crypto market is right now. Actually, you know what? Let's bring up PokeSwap, because that has been insane. So they did upgrade PokeSwap, right? They've guaranteed the price of 0.0024. I got to check that out. Yeah. So they've added stuff like the USD amount, or the fiat amount, I should say, not the USD amount, the fiat amount. So the DAI amount, I think, is what it's referencing. They've added dark mode to the platform. You still have your pools. They fixed the actual rewards as well. So if you go to your rewards, obviously this was stuck for a little while. We weren't seeing any new rewards. Now we have our rewards showing there. Yeah, they added the dollar values, which I believe is the DAI values connected to everything here. So it actually shows on your rewards as well how much DAI your fees from the liquidity pools are worth. Now, again, this isn't vested rewards in any way. This is just your fees. And then this is like TBC fees that are still vested, so you can't claim the TBC fees just yet. And eventually the liquidity pools. I actually really like the dark mode because it's just like, you know, well, I think the problem with a lot of people, and this is not just Peter Schiff, this is a lot of people, including me. We have our own biases, right? Huge biases in a lot of ways. And Peter Schiff has been a huge gold bug for years, for decades. He's been all about the gold, and I think, you know, looking at Bitcoin in its early days, it's easy to say that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. But when you actually understand how it works, you know, you understand that BitConnect was a Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin is just a hard asset that is in such a new state that we've never seen anything like this before. I attribute it to a lot of like rare items, like if you look at some gold coins, any gold coins that were, or not gold coins in specific, any coins that were screwed up in like the U.S. Mint, right? If and I don't understand why you buy gold mines. Like, somebody actually please explain to me why on earth you would buy either a crypto mining company or a gold mining company. Can somebody please explain that to me? Because you're not only at the risk of the asset that they're mining, but you're at the risk of the company. You don't know what the hell they're gonna do, right? So like, why don't you just buy gold? But hey, it is what it is. Where was I going? What was I saying? Anyway, Peter Schiff, at the end of the day, just stuck in his mindset of, you know, that Bitcoin is a Ponzi. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. I hold gold, and that's all I have. And that's his identity. And now it's a hill that he wants to die on, and he doesn't want to bend in any way. So now he just fights with the crypto community. I mean, you know, the likes of Anthony Pompliano. But yeah, so it's funny. Well, and I talk about gold because gold is not it's less scarce than Bitcoin because you can continuously mine gold. There's an increase of gold entering the market every single day, or well, I don't know when the numbers are reported, but as we mine more gold, we're entering more gold into the economy. Of course, not more gold is being created because gold made from supernovas. We're not creating any supernovas anytime soon. But at the same time, you get my drift. There's a lot of gold actually out there, a lot more than we think, and a lot out in space as well because it's not being burnt up in the atmosphere and, like, you know, turning into gold dust or something. Basically, gold is here because of asteroids. Asteroids hit the Earth, left gold deposits on Earth, and now we're mining that gold deposits for mining minerals. That's how it all works, right? So to think that something like the moon that goes through constant impacts of rocks and metals, and the moon isn't all that far away from us considering where it is, and considering our rocket technology right now, be fairly easy. China's landed on the moon a couple of times with the space probe. They landed on an asteroid. Is it that hard to, say, have a mining operation, organize a mining operation, organize a rig somewhere in Earth orbit, and then send it out to the moon? I mean, that sounds logical to me. Sounds like it would happen in my lifetime. I mean, who knows? A lot has happened that I would never think that would happen, especially Myanmar being, you know, a dance video during a military coup. But, you know, I gotta mute that. 2% a year per Michael Saylor, I believe. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And so it's like a general inflation rate of 2% a year. The mother of all squeeze coming soon. AMC Entertainment holding stock. So here's... And I'm assuming, okay, here's the thing. I notice on a lot of my videos, I get like comments about certain tokens and everything, and I'll ignore a lot of them because a lot of them look like bots. Yeah, I don't know if, Dave, you know, if you're not a bot, that's okay. And listen, I'm not investing in AMC because it's a good, investment, right? AMC is an objectively dying company, right? Same with GameStop, right? And I'm not looking at those as like monetarily smart investments. That being said, if you're one of those people that want to say, fuck you to the hedge funds, which I am absolutely one of those people, then yeah, buy AMC, buy GameStop. Not financial advice at all. This is a revolutionary advice. Not talking at all about the gains that you're going to get from GameStop or going to the moon or anything else. I think all of that is, it is hype. It is what it is. But hey, if you want to stick to the hedge funds and you have some extra money to blow, I mean, like that's the way to do it right there, because they're shaking in their boots in a lot of ways. What was it? That one hedge fund manager basically got liquidated. I understand that. So the thing with Canada, at least, we have our ETFs. We have Bitcoin.U and then Bitcoin.C. We also have Hut 8. Hut 8 is out of the Bitcoin mining companies. That makes sense. Yes. That is like, I would say that's a decent way. It's much better than the people buying say MicroStrategies for Bitcoin to get Bitcoin exposure. I wouldn't agree that MicroStrategies is Bitcoin exposure. MicroStrategies is a software company. But Hut 8, yeah, I'd probably say that's one of the safer mining bets that you can make, and it makes sense that you're going into it because there's no Bitcoin ETF. Obviously, for us in Canada, we have Bitcoin ETFs, which is nice. So my Bitcoin ETFs are in like my tax-free savings account, which is similar to the United States IRAs, I think, is what it is. So over time, it's tax-free. I think it's gonna be good in the long term to have that crypto exposure within your stock portfolio, in your equity portfolio. Yeah, they've done pretty well, and I think a mining company like that will continue to do well. It's nothing like holding the real thing, obviously, but if you're looking for a good way to include it in your portfolio in tax-free savings vehicles, that's probably the way to go. Do I have any platforms that I prefer for staking assets? I think that just depends on what token we're talking about. So for example, Cardano, I use Daedalus. For Polkadot, I'm using the Polkadot.js app to stake all of that there. Kraken has some nice staking features. I have some tokens on KuCoin being staked. What else? Various exchanges, something like PokeSwap. Obviously, I'm staking LP. So I think it just depends on the asset, but I'm not married to any which one. What I do, Dustin, is I typically seek out the highest APY and a good relative security, right? So as long as the place is secure, as long as the platform is secure, I'll probably go there as long as it's one of the higher APYs or APRs, depending on what the service is. Like Celsius objectively has some of the best interest rates in the industry. Then I have Nexo. Then I have BlockFi. I'm all over the place. I'd probably say, if I had to like ballpark, I have crypto on roughly maybe like 20 different platforms at this point. I actually have a lot of tokens too. I've considered recently, like I've been going through my portfolio and I've considered liquidating some of the positions that I'm not super bullish on as much. But then every time I look at them, I'm like, well, it still can go to the moon. So it's hard to part with some of the investments that I've made. I think at some point I'll do some sort of portfolio readjustment. But everything at least that can earn an interest or staking is at least earning an interest or staking through like Kraken, through wherever. Obviously not Binance anymore, but you know. Polkadot has actually gone through a huge rise over the last couple of days as well. If we look at the weekly, obviously it's looking pretty green and girthy, but you can see that constant drive up ever since our low. And I made a video down here about Polkadot specifically saying this is the time to buy. This is absolutely the time to buy. And if you look here, we're up almost 2 to 3x. So my next goal is crypto rewards, BlockFi, Crypto.com. There's that. There's also something from so a couple of YouTubers, the Canadian Bitcoiners. Len there at the Canadian Bitcoiners discussed something with me about gift cards. You can buy gift cards with Bitcoin. Now I can't remember the service. I'm gonna have to go look at it. And it sucks that I'm talking about it and I don't know like what I'm talking about in terms of like what the service is called. But apparently you can buy like if you like they have a few outlets on their service, so you can say buy a gift card for Old Navy with Bitcoin. So if for whatever reason you're going to go to Old Navy, get clothes or another store listed, you can go load up your Shake Pay, buy one of these gift cards, get cash back on your purchase, and go spend that card. The thinking here is you were going to spend it anyway at this store, at this specific store. You might as well pay with Bitcoin and earn Bitcoin back from your purchase, right? So it makes sense. You earn Bitcoin just like you would earn cash back on anything else. You know what? I'd say in a lot of ways, it's still not too late to open up a Polkadot position. Where Polkadot's going to go, we still have a lot of bullish trends for Polkadot. We have the parachains coming live. I think Akala is live now. The Akala network. So we're looking at a lot of bullish things for Polkadot. It's obviously not too late. But this is a pretty big rise. Like artificially, it was this low because of the market, right? The market took it this low. You know, a lot of people were asking, like, are you buying Cardano? And I was just like, I'm DCAing Cardano at this level. You know, anywhere below $1.15, I'm basically buying it. So that was basically my level that I was buying Cardano. But it wasn't like at a super low price. Like it wasn't like super good. It wasn't like super enticing me. Now again, I entered Cardano at 3 cents, right? So keep that in mind for my sake. It's hard for me mentally to buy Cardano above like anywhere above that price realistically. But I mean, it's still a good value. But when you look at Polkadot, when you look at where Polkadot was, sorry, I'm bouncing between charts. Like, look at this drop, right? Polkadot held on to basically paper. It held on to none of its value that it held on to all-time high. But I knew that the blockchain was good. I knew where it was going, and it did go to basically back to what's that? January lows, January highs. Sorry, I should say. Like that's huge. Anytime where you see a huge amount of price like that wiped off in just a couple of months, that's a good buying indicator. And now we're seeing that run up, and back up. So I you know, it's in hindsight, it's easy to say that this is a good call. But you never know exactly what's going to happen. You have to trust your gut in a lot of ways. I wouldn't kick yourself about not getting into it, especially if you weren't super bullish on what was going to happen. But at the end of the day, Polkadot's a great project. It's going somewhere. I'm hugely invested in Polkadot. I'm easily more bullish on Polkadot than I am Ethereum. And that actually says a lot. A lot of people kind of question me on that. But I would easily say Polkadot is a little bit more bullish than Ethereum. I had the chance to buy at $5, Sol at $1. Yeah, I mean, like, I think I was dollar cost averaging. If I go back to my Polkadot, because I still have some of these transactions still here. My first Polkadot buy, let's see how much that was. My first Polkadot buy was average price $5.79 per dot. And it basically just went down from there. It was bleeding from there. Went down to 412, 454, and then back up to 5, and then continued. And I'm obviously earning DOT by staking my DOT, so I'm earning more over time. I'm earning XRP over time. I'm earning Cardano over time. And you're earning all of these rewards within crypto. So Algo's an amazing project. It's going to do well as well. A lot of people are heavily invested in Algo. I don't have a huge position in Algo myself, but I do know that it's definitely going somewhere. I think there's a lot of tokens that are going to do well, and then there's a lot of garbage there. There's just, you know, it's something that you really got to navigate through, right? But I'd say as long as you're going through like some good projects and you're doing your research, you should do fine in the market. You're not going to catch everything, especially like not something like Polkadot, because Polkadot was, you know, a lackluster chart, didn't really perform the same way that Cardano did or anything. But obviously, when you get to such an oversold spot, there's only one place to go. I think ETH is going somewhere in some ways, if we think about it. Like, I think ETH is just going to be a good smart contract store of value. But in terms of like where we're going in like the future terms of cryptocurrencies and digital assets, I do think Polkadot's a huge player in the space. I think it's going to be crazy. So what do I think of Mona's NFT? One day it'll be big as Basie. I don't know. I don't know what I'm so new to NFT markets. We could take a look here and what Mona's NFT is. Is this the actual like this piece of art, or is it just a bunch of let's see. Oh, okay, I'm assuming it's just an artist collection. And like, listen, like, I mean, like, there are reasons why something like Banksy art is worth money, right? There are reasons why art is worth money. Yeah, but I'm so unknowledgeable about the art space. I mean, I think a lot of this is super cool. I think it has a space in the future, but. So I think we're looking at two different artists between Mona and BAYC. Interesting. I mean, like if you're looking at artists in that way, yeah, that's cool that you're speculating on artists. That's an interesting way to look at it. But yeah, I mean, like, I would say like anything like the art scene. Like if you look at like Banksy work or other artists. Obviously, Banksy's that famous graffiti artist let's see, famous graffiti artist, and his art doesn't sell like hugely amount, like not massive prices, but it sells, and it's going to increase in value over time. So something like that is going to be the speculation of where things like Mona is going to go, right? So. Again, I don't know about the NFT market. I think it's super cool, super interesting. But for me, NFTs win when you can use them to exclusively farm rewards. Yeah, and that's also something that I don't get. Like, how do you earn rewards on an NFT? Somebody like explain that. By the way, there are 12 viewers and only 9 likes. But like, do you like earn an NFT by staking an NFT? Like somebody's got to explain that. Or do you earn like Ethereum or yeah, that I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it enough. And I'm not saying I don't understand it from a bearish standpoint, because I'm not bearish at all on NFT tech. If you think of what NFTs disrupt, especially things like the music industry. So don't look at it as visual digital art. Think about it as audio art as well, or even movie art. With anything like that, NFTs completely disrupt the legacy royalty situation. So if you think of like all the big producers and the production companies that are taking all this money from new upcoming artists and rappers and everything else, NFTs directly puts that business at risk, which in my opinion, they're leeches on the art industry, so screw them. Let the royalty guys and the troll bridges get out of here, and let's put the money in the artist's hands. You can buy it and sell it. Yeah, I assume it's just like flipping art, right? And just flipping digital art. Same as like we talked about Decentraland too. Decentraland. Where I was talking about how I'm saving up mana to eventually buy a digital parcel of land, and people like flip land as well, right? So it's the same type of deal. So I'm just super interested in the space. If you mint your own, you can also sell. So I was actually thinking about minting a token, minting an NFT. But you know, like I just don't know what I would do. I think it's a super cool space. You know, I have my drawing tablet and everything. I haven't really like gotten around to like making anything like super specific for the channel. I think it'd be cool just to have like a piece of NFT that I can give away to viewers or something. I think that'd be cool. And then you guys can like let it go, sell on the market or whatever. You can either buy an NFT and get an airdrop of coins, usually more than buying coin. That's what UMI does, but I'm pretty sure you can pair the NFTs with coins and get rewards. Oh, okay, so I see. So you're like kind of staking, if I understand it. So I'm thinking about it as like a liquidity pool way. You can kind of stake it with tokens to sell it, and people buy and sell with that NFT, and then you can withdraw it just like you would any other DEX. I kind of understand that. Did you happen to watch Ben Cohen's interview? No, I haven't actually watched it. I saw it, but I didn't get around to watching it. I will actually probably watch that later on today. I'm a huge Ben Cohen fan, if you guys didn't know already. I think in a lot of ways there's a lot of confusion of what Wyckoff actually is. I think yeah. Basically, the Bitcoin market is unfortunately being heavily... okay, so here's the thing. With Wyckoff Distribution, this is what I know about Wyckoff, okay? And I'm coming at this as a complete amateur idiot, doesn't know what he's talking about. Do not listen to me at all about Wyckoff accumulation or distribution. Have no idea what I'm talking about, okay? So that's the first thing that I'm going to say. Wyckoff accumulation and distribution shows up when there are massive manipulations happening within the stock market, right? And this is come from a gentleman named Wyckoff that wrote a literal playbook on doing this, on identifying this, so people could fight against it. This practice has been going on since for a long time in the stock market, since the 1900s all the way into here. Now, the reason why we're seeing such a prominent Wyckoff, right? Because this most certainly is Wyckoff, right? There's no doubt in anyone's mind this is a Wyckoff model. The reason why we're seeing it in such a prominent way is because the market is still so new. It's still so adolescent, so young. So we're able to see mass manipulation like this. Arguably, this run up here was way out of pace with what the market should have been. This whole run up here was way out of pace. And then we went through this long distribution phase where people were just kind of selling off quietly. The market was just trading level. And then finally the dip to get into lower. So this is a textbook Wyckoff distribution. I believe that's distribution. Yeah, because Wyckoff accumulation would be somewhere down in this zone kind of thing. So Wyckoff distribution is when the stock markets are essentially just dumping. So they dumped it and they're buying in at a lower price and getting in, and now Bitcoin's going back up. This is an obvious way to shake out retail investors like you and I, increase their Bitcoin holdings, and overall just mess with the market. I mean, this is always happens. So I'll definitely watch that because I think that's an interesting topic for sure. I appreciate the like, Dustin. Really appreciate the support, man. Yeah, that was one of the best interviews in the space. That's good to know. I mean, there's a lot, did you guys watch the Michael Saylor one? I felt like Michael Saylor, in my opinion, was a little too close-minded in a lot of ways on Ben Cohen. But yeah, there are 20 people watching the stream and only 12 likes. Help a brother out, guys. Give me a like. But I will check that interview with Wyckoff, the Wyckoff, well, not the Wyckoff guy himself because he's obviously dead, but the person talking about Wyckoff on Ben Cohen. Obviously, again, I'm a huge Ben Cohen fan. Just didn't have the time yesterday to go watch it. But hugely interesting topic because obviously, there's manipulation in the market. You can obviously see it as well because of what's happening with because crypto is so new. But Bitcoin has rebounded at least from that. But you can clearly see how someone can take advantage of this, selling Bitcoin up here and then buying Bitcoin again down here and increasing their bags. So the Michael Saylor was terrible. Michael just talked, didn't listen to Ben in any way, shape, or form. And the thing about Michael Saylor, and this is the thing, a lot of people like Michael Saylor, and at the risk of shooting myself in the foot and make people upset at me, Michael Saylor is objectively an idiot, and the only reason people like him is because he went into Bitcoin at a good, opportune time. He hated Bitcoin for the longest time. He hated Bitcoin, and now he's just a Bitcoin bug. but only Bitcoin. It can only be Bitcoin. There is only one. And I'm just like, okay, like you went from one closed-minded position to another closed-minded position. At one point, are you going to realize that you're just wrong and that the crypto market itself is bullish? Yes, there is a lot of shit in the crypto market. Yes, there are a lot of shit tokens in the crypto market. But Bitcoin is not the only one, so... Yeah, I know what you meant. I know what you meant. I said like I'm gonna watch it with Wyckoff guy, and I'm like, no, Wyckoff guy is long dead. I wanted to watch. I wanted to read his book though. I was going to order the book at least and read it. But like I also like I don't know. I'm not an equities guy. I think Wyckoff is more. It happens more in equities, I want to say. It's more prominent, like we can see it more in cryptocurrency because cryptocurrency is still new. And to put that in perspective, the total stock market is $110 trillion right now. Total crypto market is $2 trillion. So that's a huge difference. A huge difference between the two. Drop a like as well, guys. But yeah, I think there's some good, at least, lessons to learn to understand exactly what is happening with Wyckoff, how the market is being manipulated. And like I see that, like, listen, anyone investing solely in Bitcoin right now is going to do well. Is going to do very, very well in the long term. So I'm not terribly concerned about Michael Saylor's finances in any way. I think anyone investing in something like Bitcoin, Ethereum is going to do well. Is BTC in a bull trap? I don't think so. So here's the thing. BTC is coming up to a decision. One, it has to pass through the emotional barrier. And again, I say this all the time with cryptocurrency and markets. All these markets are based on human emotion. No logic, nothing else, okay? So we have to hit past the 50,000 emotional barrier and then make it above our $52,000, which the reason why $52,000, it's shown as a line of support and a line of resistance numerous times through the market, through this Wyckoff distribution phase. So most likely we have to pass through the 52,000 mark to remain bullish. Of course, there are a lot of bullish indicators. Like if we take a look at our weekly, go to our bull market support band, we are above our bull market support band. If we go back to our daily and take a look at our 200-day moving average, we are above the 200-day. So everything's looking bullish in terms of the indicators for Bitcoin. A lot of people still say that we're going to see a market peak in September. I'm saying that we're probably not going to see a market peak in September. But so I don't think it's a bull trap, but I mean, you know. If somebody wants to put $1 billion, yeah. So BPro has actually shut up a huge amount. I've been looking at my portfolio, and like, so I was firm on this back in this dip, and people were asking me. I think even on the Polkadot video, people were asking me, "Are you buying any altcoins like BPro or any low cap coins?" And I said no. And the reason why I said no is because that is too juicy of a price to buy a good high cap coin at such a low price. I'm absolutely going to buy Polkadot over BPro. Now that we're in a position, and objectively this should have happened a couple of weeks ago when BPro was a lot lower, but now we're in a position where high caps have pumped, medium caps have pumped. Now we're going to have micro caps pumping, right? So we have BPro up, I think it's roughly up 20-30% in the last couple of days. And we're going to see a lot of other tokens take a similar stance and pump that are a little bit lower on the market cap totem pole. So, but yeah, I in any way, going back to Bitcoin long-term holding, Bitcoin long-term hold, and again, back to like the Missouri mayor article that we discussed, right? The Missouri mayor plans to give $1,000 of Bitcoin to every inhabitant as long as they hold for 5 years. I don't know what idiot wouldn't take this. It's literally free money. And in the short time that people use their stimulus checks on Bitcoin, it came to $8,765 for every stimulus check if you put your entire stimulus check into Bitcoin. Think of what that's going to do in 5 years, right? So I aped into BPro when it was 2 cents. Yeah, I think I was sort of lower, but I had dollar cost average a lot as well when it went up. So it looks like my average cost is 0.014 is what it looks like. So I'm still in the negative, I think. Yeah, because it's 0.012. So we're still in the negative because I DCA'd a lot of BPRO over the course of time. Now it is one of my lower positions, right? But like that represents how much like risk I want to take in my portfolio. I have like now a lot of people call me crazy, and that's fine. You don't have to invest like I do. Okay, so just fair warning. My number one holding is XRP. Whether you like it or hate it, I think the SEC lawsuit is super frivolous. I know, moving to Missouri for that free $1,000 BTC. Let's do it, boys. You know, I like. You have to look at your portfolio in terms of risk. So I'm super bullish on XRP. My next holding now is actually Cardano flipped my Bitcoin holding. Believe it or not, Cardano did flip my Bitcoin holding. It's definitely increased way more than my Bitcoin. It's been one of my best investments easily. So Cardano is up on my number 2. Number 3 is Bitcoin. Number 4 is Ethereum. Number 5 is Cell Token. Number 6 is Polkadot. And again, the numbers didn't always line up like this. Polkadot used to be like my number 2 or 3. It's just dropped down because it hasn't performed as well as other cryptocurrencies. That doesn't mean that I'm going to sell it. Obviously, I like Polkadot, and I'm hugely bullish on where it's going to go. And then it goes into like VeChain, all my Sora, PSwap stuff, KSM, and a slew of other altcoins until finally we get to BPRO. So obviously, there's risk assessment in identifying it, and a lower cap coin is going to have more risk for you, but higher reward. So, Cool Valley, Missouri, population of 1,000. Well, that's only yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, you know, at that point, right? That's gonna be a pretty rich town in Missouri. Because if you think about it, if you think about like $1,000 in Bitcoin, let's do an exercise, okay? Where are we right now? August 21st. So let's go 5 years from now, August 21st of 2016. Okay, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really fun. Let's go weekly. What was Bitcoin's price at August 2016? 2016. Okay, so we were around on almost the day. We were around $560. Okay, so $560. Let's do some math here. 1,000 divided by 560 is 1.785714 Bitcoin, right? So let's take that number. I know you guys can't see my calculator. Really sorry about that, but you're going to have to trust me on this math here, okay? So times that by the current Bitcoin price, which is $49,217. This is a 5-year hodl for Bitcoin, $87,887.48 is what you would get. So 5-year hodl for Bitcoin is what Bitcoin has done in the last 5 years. If you had put $1,000, you'd own 1.7 Bitcoin, and you'd now be up over 87K. So there it is. There it is. That's the power of holding. Any thoughts on Meld? Sounds to me new, better non-custodial than Celsius, if it works out. I mean, like, well, like anything new, you're gonna have a little bit more risk, right? But not saying that it couldn't. Let's see, Meld crypto. I'm assuming it's some sort of earning platform, and I think the big thing with I've clicked on this before, so I've actually seen this. Your mental wealth. So banking stack for DeFi. Okay, so it's a bit of a more DeFi platform. I wonder if it is centralized or if it just operates like centralized and the earnings are through DeFi, which are two different things entirely. But I mean, like, you know, there's nothing wrong. Like I'm actually not super bearish on things like central entities like Celsius or anything else like that. Like I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with having anything like that. So how it works, take out a loan. So I think this might be more decentralized. Earn a yield on your crypto. Your crypto assets are added to the meld liquidity pools to generate a yield. Okay, so it might be like a mix of like CeFi and DeFi. Interesting. I would want to know exactly what their rates are going to be, what their rewards will be. Also, if it's live, we'll take a look now. Okay, so it does look like they're just using the different. Oh, okay, so I think this might be good because I think what they're doing here is they're using the protocols to earn, right? They're using that and bringing it in one platform for people to use is what it looks like. So I don't know exactly. I'm just kind of spitballing here based on what I'm seeing. It just looks like another platform like Aave is what it looks like, right? So it could do well. It could do very well. If it consolidates a lot of these yield farming areas, brings it into one place, it could do very well. So I think it'd be like a totally different space than what like Celsius is doing in a way. Like in essence, they're doing the same thing, right? But interesting stuff. So I'll look into this, and maybe if they're worth it, it might be worth it to actually bring it in. They have a nice diagram here. So yeah, it looks like they go through the actual smart contracts to make the yield and pay back with everyone else. So interesting stuff, but it also seems like they have a lot of the other things, like they have their liquidity pools, they have their loan repayments, their lending functions, crypto collateral. So it seems like a decentralized version of Celsius is what I'm like viewing. But cool, very very cool project. It looks really cool. What's their roadmap looking like? So Q2, they are launching their partnership program. And then at that point, they're looking at launching their testnet for their app for mobile and Chrome. And then multi-crypto wallet. So we'll see a lot looks like next quarter and then end of Q4. So that'll be interesting. 0 interest loans in 2022. Interesting. I wonder how that's going to work. Cool. I mean, like I'm probably going to use it. I'll bookmark this for later, but Probably going to use that. Interesting stuff. So we're running up right now to an hour and 12 minutes. We'll leave it open here for any questions to come through, any conversation. Make sure to drop a like as well as we wrap this up. What do I think about Michael Saylor's analogy of Bitcoin as Manhattan land? Ethereum as building a Manhattan. I don't think that's the same. I think so. Okay, here's the thing. I think anyone like Michael Saylor is going to try to equate the crypto market in something that Michael Saylor understands. Michael Saylor is not an idiot. Michael Saylor is not a dumb guy. But Michael Saylor has something that most people in cryptocurrency don't have, or doesn't have something that most people in cryptocurrency does have, and that's the age difference of an understanding of the technology. Say most people in cryptocurrency, and I know I'm not speaking general. I know there's a lot of people like 60 and over in crypto. I totally recognize that that's a demographic. But if you look at like my viewers on my YouTube and general interest with cryptocurrency, a lot of that is younger generation because we understand it a little bit more. So I think Michael Saylor's just trying to make I don't see them as the same thing. I see Ethereum as like a digital monetary internet, where I see Bitcoin as just a store of value. I don't see one as Manhattan and one as Manhattan buildings and companies. I don't think so. I think it was Tyler Winklevoss or Cameron. I'm pretty sure it was Tyler though, who said basically what's worth more, the internet or gold. And he would argue that the internet is worth more than gold, which I agree. If you tagged a market cap onto the internet, it'd be way, way past gold. What do I think of Kava token? I know they have great partnerships. I don't know too much about it, Joe. I mean, like 20% on Kraken. If you go and buy it on Kraken and put it in the staking platform, you get 20%. I don't know the ins and outs of the project, though. I know they're partnered with Ripple. I know they do a lot of other stuff. They're a pretty low rank, so they have a lot of room to grow. So, yeah, I just don't know enough about it. I should really learn a little bit more. Let's see what some of the earnings are. But, I mean, like, if you're invested in it, I think you're going to do well. So, yeah, it looks like some good, like, borrowing APYs, like a 2.5% interest, 0% interest on to borrow BUSD. Interesting. 0.5% interest on BNB. So, I mean, like, stuff like this, crowdfunding loans are going to be more and more prevalent as we go. And think about how rich people make their money. Now, I'm not advocating going out and buying cryptocurrency with a credit card or anything else like that, but leveraging an asset, right? So you hear this a lot with people leveraging assets like homes and everything else. Start looking at your cryptocurrency in the same way, where you can leverage that asset to build onto that wealth. As long as you're not overextending yourself and over leveraging, you should be good to go. Like, I leverage my Bitcoin. I take loans out on my Bitcoin and reinvest it into other assets that I can earn a yield. Drop a like as well. We have 22 viewers and 16 likes. We're wrapping this up as well, so really appreciate the likes and support on this channel. You guys have been great. One important thing to consider with all these new DeFi platforms and smart contracts and audits, the recent hacks directly reflect on this. I personally wouldn't buy into something so fast moving. It's good to be very cautious, especially as Dustin makes a good point, because over the last little while, we've had a number of hacks. With Poly Network, whatever they were called or something. I think 600 million was hacked, and like they're trying to get some back from the hacker. And I think like they offered the guy a job at some point, and now like the guy's not returning all the money. I don't know. It's a huge kerfuffle. And then there's that 60 million that went away as well. There's a lot of loopholes in a lot of code and a lot of technology. So when you see something that's being taken advantage of, you got to be careful. But when something's rising to, and this is a good general rule of life, when the interest and the earnings are so high, be questionable about it, right? This is a lot of like what indicates a Ponzi scheme, like BitConnect, and other platforms that have come and gone throughout the years, saying that you're going to earn 1%, 2% a day, something just insane. You also got to look into like how some of these DeFi platforms are paying such a high APY. So, for example, I'm making 120% in PSwap. Now, there's nothing like bad about PSwap. There's nothing bad about PSwap. So 106, excuse me. There's nothing bad about PSwap or illegitimate happening in PSwap, but we're getting extra rewards right now because of the burning structure. We're basically earning the burnt tokens. Basically, it's going through a burn and reminting cycle, but that's going to lessen over time. A lot of these DEXs are giving higher APRs because they're just launching and they're trying to get rid of their initial token supply to have people begin giving liquidity on the system. So that's it. So it is important to definitely be careful. The list of crypto you provided is based on your own list of crypto where that I like raffled off that I was saying that I invested in. I mean, like everything's based on subjectively my own prediction that I've discussed. So and like general knowledge of like where the market's going, what the projects do, what problems that they solve, what industries that they're in. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm not too sure what you meant, Koki. Thoughts on Exa? We can take a look at that before we. Okay, perfect. So anytime, and I don't know if this is the right token because every time I type this, I don't think CoinGecko has everything that is going on there. But anytime you're looking at a rank sub like 200-300 is when you're getting into some scammy territory. So you got to be careful. You gotta make sure that you're looking into the project very well. The team is not anonymous in any way. So I have no thoughts, and I'm sure I'd have no thoughts if I went into the actual project to take a look at it. I mean, yeah, like people, it's not about like I think it's a mixture of greed, right? You look at like Ponzi schemes and MLMs and the promise of being rich, right? Like I remember back when I was 20, 21, 22, one of my friends invited me to a party. Drinks, chips, come to this party. It was for this drink. I'm sure if you guys grew up around the same time that I grew up, you know of it as a Verve. And if you don't know of Verve, then you do know of some other variation of that MLM, because they've remarketed themselves like 100 times. I think Herbalife was one of them. But I remember being in this presentation, and they're not selling you on the drink itself. They're selling you on the fact that you can have a BMW if you sign up enough distributors onto the platform. That's a MLM, a multi-level marketing system. It's a pyramid scheme, funneling money to the top. There's a lot of that. Bernie Madoff, a very successful investor. Everyone held this guy in such a high regard. Bernie Madoff, and then he turned out to be running the biggest Ponzi in the world, literally paying people with user deposits. This is why I'm so trusted of Celsius, because they audit their cryptocurrency through the blockchain. We know exactly that we're not being paid by user deposits, so we know it's not a Ponzi. We know that they're making a yield on our cryptocurrency because we can see it. They have full transparency, and they're being audited by the community. And that's why you really need to do your due diligence when you're looking at platforms. You need to be a little skeptical when you see high APRs and high APYs. But at the same time, if the project is good, you trust where it's going, it could just be an incentive. That's it for me, guys. We were running at an hour and 21 minutes. Really appreciate it. Great likes on this. A great stream. I really appreciate you guys coming through. Hope this weekend is good for everyone, and hopefully we see a continuation of the bull market through this week. I will most likely see you guys tomorrow and throughout the week. Have a good one, guys.